go ahead and get started for tonight's council meeting. Thank you for being here. We will stand with, have Steve Ayers with Life Connect Church with prayer and pledge.
Let's pray. Lord, again, I thank you for your love and your grace, and I thank you for the men and women that serve our village. And Lord, we continue to pray for them, to give them wisdom and guidance as we move forward. Lord, give them insight and vision, and Lord, help them make decisions each and every day. Lord, again, we just thank you for your love and your grace, and I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Cheryl, we'll start with roll call.
Bailey?
Here.
Everly?
Here.
Egley? Here. Martin?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
And Bassett is absent.
Okay. We have two guests tonight. First one will be Diane Collins. Diane, you want to?
Thank you. I just came to kind of make a public service announcement. The last few months, Sheila Baker, Colleen Richter, and I circulated petitions for signatures to make the council positions and the mayor's positions nonpartisan, which means that it would be about a savings of $15,000 by not having to have a primary to have runoffs between Democrats and Republicans or independents. However, when I took those to defiance to file them, I did it incorrectly. And so that is not going to be on the fall ballot. It's all, tossed out. And Kent, that's not a rookie mistake. I know, you would say that's a rookie mistake, but I've only filed like 8 times for myself. But, so anyway, I'm gonna start collecting signatures again as soon as possible and try to do it again, but I just pretty much wanted people to know, all the people that signed it, that we had about 100 signatures, and that's no good. So I'll be starting over.
Is that about what it takes? It's like 100?
I think it took 87,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Thank you very much for
Any party.
doing that.
Well, that's all right, it's something I wanted to do years ago to save money, but I couldn't do it while I was elected, so.
Diane, on what grounds did they reject your petitions?
Lack of a signature on the last page certifying the number of signatures that were on it.
That's
No, Sheila had hers perfect, but, well, yeah, it is, but I filed a lot of times myself. I should have known better. I was just in a hurry, I guess. So, sorry about that.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Diane. for
You're gonna
working on
have to
that.
go through the election in the spring, Ann.
Not the primaries at home.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Diane, for that. Jennifer, doctor's here. Present. You're up, Jen.
All right, so I'm with the Hicksville Trail Association, and so I'm out here. I know that the 1-year renewable lease is coming up for the area that is currently being farmed within the inside of the trail, which is where the water wells are. So we would like to expand and take over the area that is being farmed instead. Our nature trail has become a cherished resource in the community, offering a safe and scenic environment for outdoor activities with walking, running, bird watching. Over the past year, we have received tremendous support from various community members to help bring our trail to life. Don Perna assisted with our parking lot. Dave Graber helped with donating a porta potty for various events that is out there permanently. Dave Brown contributed his time, design, and resources for our welcome sign. Ewing Landscaping assisted with leveling and mowing. Mrs. Laney here in Hicksville and Mr. Oberlin from Patrick Henry brought out students and planted over 100 seedlings during Earth Day. Various birdhouses and Boy Scouts have contributed with their Eagle Scout projects, along with countless volunteers and their community organizations. By expanding the trail, we can reduce the maintenance efforts for the village, as well as with our larger trail design system, managing and maintaining would be easier. I mean, because the point is to make it as minimal as possible. And this would help accommodate the growing number of visitors who come to enjoy our nature and beauty in the area. Moreover, the expanded trail would continue to serve as an educational resource, offering opportunities for local schools and organizations to engage in environmental education and conservation efforts. It would also attract ecotourism, boosting our local economy, and I believe that the expansion of our trail is a valuable and forward-thinking decision that will benefit our community for generations to come.
Do you have like anything that, you said expanding the trail system?
Right,
Do you have
so-
like some insight on what your goals are for the future?
Yes, so we would like to take over where, because it's currently being farmed, so we'd like to have that area. So we're not asking anything outside of that. Of course, I know that the well systems are there, so we would, have a barrier, not impeding anything, or encroaching in any of that territory. But our near-term projects, we'd like to have additional landscaping around our entrance sign. There is an area right by the parking lot and where the entrance sign is that collects a pool of water, which is only going to, it creates a big muck, and it's right along the road where the access is into where the wells are. So my worry is that it's going to ruin the structure of that road, but then also mosquitoes and all the other stuff. So we'd like to have some sort of French drain. We haven't really discussed, but something that we can ease some of that water and drain that out.
And we would pay for that.
Yes, so we are a 501c3 as of earlier this year. So all of the finances have been local donations. We also wanted to have a privacy fence around the porta potty area because the neighboring houses will have to look at a porta potty when they look out their back door. Of course, we'd like to plant more trees, and we'd like to have additional walkways or trails through that land, so it could be, instead of the 1.5, there'll be more walkways, or somebody doesn't have to go that whole way, they can maybe go halfway. We would also like to have some boardwalks in some of the low areas, just because it could get muddy there, and that way it would be easier to walk throughout all of the seasons. Long-term goals, we would like to have, hopefully someday, a bridge connecting over to the other side across the creek, over to the cemetery, so it would create more walkways without having to be on traffic, but.
You come right off the city sidewalk and get on that trail.
Yeah,
Instead of having to go out through the yards and Haber Drive or all the way out to Case Spear Mill Road.
right. Of course, we'd like to have more birdhouses and additional benches, and additional plants, so, yeah, that's just short term.
Anybody have any questions for Jennifer or Tony?
The lease itself, is there any language in there that says how soon we need to notify the farmer that we're not gonna renew? There's no automatic renewal provision in it or anything?
I'm not sure.
I had heard it was an automatic renewal November 1st for
Okay.
6 years.
Sometimes
That's-
in those it'll say like.
That's
you
what
need to
I
let
had
know
heard. I've never
30 days
seen,
in advance or
I've never
something.
seen anything in
Yeah,
writing.
I'm not sure.
We have that?
I think Corey had worked with that with the Troyer farm. I think they wanted a longer lease, but then with everybody talking, the nature trail just starting to take off and do different things, we walked it back to a year. That way we could always go back and see what they want to do and have their plans kind of set up instead of being landlocked kind of thing.
Would November be year 2?
That would be year 2, yes.
Year 2 and
Mm-hmm.
You'll
So they
keep all
had
the
for 2
weeds
years.
down out there? and
What's that?
You'll keep all the weeds down and everything?
Well, we actually want to leave the weeds up. So we've got something to look at, and butterflies and bees and.
I mean, it's not gonna be dandelions, it's gonna be, natural flowers and tall grasses.
I don't know
It's
if we
all
can do that
native.
on our property, on village property.
You can't spray out there.
No, but,
No, the EPA, when we built the well field, you cannot spray that, that's why we've
Exactly.
been farming.
yeah,
So they can't kill the weeds.
but we mow. Doesn't Troyer mow out there?
Yeah.
Well, he farms
But
it,
then
He
we're not
hays,
spraying it.
yeah. He bales hay out there.
So
Clover.
twice a year.
He planted clover everywhere, and then he mows that off twice a year. So you're in compliance with your ordinance 2 times a year. So,
So would we need to, I mean, just modify the ordinance for it being, you know, village property for a nature trail?
Well, you would have to have the council decide just what they want to do.
Well, could we ask you to look into maybe an exemption as a nature trail for that parcel?
The guy that's missing would have to do all that.
I don't think there should be a problem having an exemption, because, I mean, any
Right.
other municipality, if they have a metro park that's got natural areas.
And it would save money, taxpayer money, I mean, because we are maintaining all of the land
The-
ourselves,
The trail,
the trail.
yeah.
So you're saying the village itself wouldn't have to maintain it, you
Right.
guys would be the ones?
We don't maintain anything on
No,
Right, I'm
no.
just saying, if we didn't remove it.
And Troyer,
It's not back
the
on
Troyer
us.
family or farm, they do red clover, I think for feed and everything, and they kind of do the perimeter, interior part of it. I keep that down with the red clover, and can cut twice a year. They're just asking, with their special request, you know, they don't want invasive weeds and different things like that. I mean, they've got
Right.
naturals coming in there and saying,
Right,
this is gonna take over, this is bad, this is good. You know you can't spray, so.
right.
They've done this in Antwerp, I've been through a couple of them, this is a big area though, and stuff, so. I like what they're doing, I don't have a
I
problem.
like what
with
they're
it.
doing, but I don't think we can just throw Troyer out, just.
But we knew all along that this was the long-term intent.
So
But
we
I think we need
actually-
to talk to him.
Initially, that we had permission to do the trail with the perimeter prior to Troyer's farming.
Hmm?
So the whole goal overall was for us to take over the whole thing. That's why it became the 1 year.
Well,
renewal.
I don't remember that part of it, but
Ron, it was explained to me that if you remember, the state plowed that whole area, archaeological survey, and then left. And that's what we were left with was 50 acres of plowed dirt out there.
and then Troyer came in and worked it.
And the deal was Troyer comes in, works it up in exchange for letting him hay that. And I don't know where you're at as far as how much it cost him to work that and how much he's made off hay. The last 2 years, maybe we could look at those numbers and see, because you know, when you say, well, we can't just throw him out, well, you know, it was a business deal, right?
Well, it's an ongoing business deal. He mows the 20 acres for the housing addition planted.
I understand that.
He keeps that in compliance for the village,
Twice
at
a
no
year.
cost.
Twice a year.
So I'm just saying that we need to do some, Corey needs to check into everything and
We aren't expecting an answer tonight. We just wanted to bring it up. That's what we would like to see happen out there. And is it possible? You know,
You can
So-
talk to Corey tomorrow, can't you?
Yeah, Corey's not back until I think later Thursday in the week, so I can have him sit down with Corey, get with Troyer's.
See if we can get the contract.
If you guys kind of have an idea, maybe where you said your interior trails, you wanted to start crisscrossing.
yeah, we just want to loop across,
And I know.
well
that-
away from the wells.
Right, and we also talked about any permanent structures, you don't want to start digging and planting. You know, you're doing everything that can either be changed or moved.
Yeah, we're not putting any concrete down on the posts, we're just stoning them in, you can pop them right out
Right.
if you need to. And that's what we want to do around that porta potty, to shade that from Nick's house, so.
Right, and we recently, I don't know who mowed the area, but somebody had
That was
mowed.
Troyer's.
So we had a perimeter of wildflowers separating the parking lot and the neighbor's property as a privacy, just so people weren't looking into their.
Walking, they wouldn't get out of the car and walk that way.
Right, so, you know, now there's no longer that barrier in between. I do have pictures of what the before and after was, if you're interested, but, we would just like the whole thing to just be flowers and tall grasses with, I mean, well kept and maintained through the trail.
could you, before we get together again, could you put something down on paper? I'm not expecting engineer architectural designing or anything, but something on paper that kind of shows us.
Yeah, where the
you know,
loop,
This is the square and we want to cut through here.
yeah, where the
here.
loops would go across, definitely we
Sure.
can do that.
Just to give us a general
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. I think we can expand that from 1.5 miles big loop to we'll have like almost 3 miles to go out there and do, or you can do a half mile, or you can do 3/4 for like little kids and older people that don't want to walk the whole thing.
Because sometimes that 1.5, I mean, doesn't seem like a lot, but once you're way on the back, it's a bit of a hike for those little
Yeah,
kids, so.
So it'll basically just be off the existing loop, just a couple cuts straight across from side to side. And
But we
it-
don't want it anywhere near the road, so like it would be on the, like, after the road.
I'll draw it all out and get it.
And
to
the what's about it in the side of the road that you talked about, is that the road that goes clear back into the stone road?
you.
going
Yeah, the
back
stone
in?
road that goes
So-
back there.
So if the road that goes towards the water wells, our parking lot butts up, so it's this little triangle, and it just is really wet, anytime it rains, and it sits there for a long period of
Do we
time.
need dirt in there or
Well,
stone in there?
Yeah,
Well,
or we could try to drain it some way.
we're
you know.
looking at various options, but like,
Nick's got
that
a
would
big
be-
tile running right there on his property line, and he had already says if you guys want to hook into this, you can.
right, So we're
Now,
trying to
whether
find
that's
most
up to him or
cost-effective.
whether that's up to you guys, I don't know.
Right.
But that was another option. We thought about just dragging a French drain to the ditch, or we could come in and put a bunch of dirt down there. We've got some dirt out there from when we dug the parking lot that we could use, build that up. But it's been wet for the year and a half that we've been
yeah,
running around out there.
so nothing really grows.
I thought you guys were taking your street sweeper truck, or the jet. I thought they were emptying it out there because it was wet in July, and I'm like,
Not out of the question.
yeah, so I don't know. Maybe there's a spring or something around there, I don't know, but it's wet most of the year.
I want to commend you guys on what you've done. You haven't asked for a dime from the taxpayers. It's all been volunteers. You've made a lot of improvements. I knew down the road when this all first started, you were going to come back and ask for council to do some different things out there. So kind of this is your point, coming this far with everything. So I will get with Corey when he gets back. We'll have some discussions with Troyer. I think we should all meet ahead of time, talk to
Sounds good.
Troyers and you guys and Corey, and have us sit down and just kind of think of what's best for the future. And
All right.
in the meantime, you could draw some plans up and move forward, so.
Definitely. Thank you.
Sounds like it'll work, yeah, thanks. But thank you
Would
for
you
what
also
do.
like some of the ideas of the long terms that we were looking at?
No?
Just make sure, cover all the bases.
And if I could add something, I know when I was on the cemetery board, and Ron's on it now, but you had talked about from the sidewalk there on Main Street, you wanted to cut it down along the creek back there towards the railroad tracks.
Yeah, right beside
bridge
where the
over,
beans,
so
yeah, right beside the beans.
people could walk all the way from town out there and enjoy the.
I thought it'd be nice to connect it to town by sidewalk,
Right.
so just more access.
When are you normally around?
3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm free until the evenings. I get off work at 3.
Before you leave, can you leave me your number?
Sure.
Or I'll get it from somebody?
Yeah.
I'd like to meet you out there.
Okay.
Because everything you're telling me, I've never seen.
If, and if any of you guys would like a tour, we will gladly show it off. We like showing it off.
Yeah.
I would love a tour.
Yeah, no problem. I'll get you my number.
If I want to drive my four-wheeler out there, I ain't walking it.
Well,
Can,
We had a
can,
shorter path.
can I take my golf cart?
I haven't told anybody no yet.
I would stroke out.
I've
for
seen,
50 feet.
I've seen a few out there. The one I was out there working, and there was this cart coming, and I was starting to get, I don't want to be the guy that says, and it was Jerome McKinney driving his wife Jenny after she had all that, and I'm like, have a good time, guys. We just don't want anybody out there turning it into a go-kart
Well,
track.
it's just out there for exercise.
Yeah.
And
Right.
exercise doesn't come from pushing the accelerator on a golf cart, does it, Bob?
Bob, who's talking to you, Bob Fisher? Well, thanks again. We'll have a-
You're welcome.
Thanks for hearing us out.
All right, next on the agenda, approval of the August 5th meeting minutes.
move to approve the minutes.
I just got one correction with my mayor's report thing. The generator for the fire hall was not, what did it say on there? 8,200 is 18,200, and that's, we're looking at trying to get a grant for that. So that was a wrong price.
Okay, I will move to approve the minutes with that correction.
I will second.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Approval of the bills list. I think you have another bills portion on your desk tonight, an add-on.
Cheryl, the Premier Bank analysis fee, is that something they normally charge us, or?
Want to make a motion to pay the bills?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Miller?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Boards and commissions. I don't believe we have any. Council committee reports. You had finance committee and I believe street, sewer, water, and refuse committees met. Any questions on those?
I'm kind of curious with the sewer rates. I mean, I read this, but maybe I don't understand it very well. It seems like the recommendation is that we lower the base rate by $5. So have we been overcharging everybody by $5?
No, we're trying to find a place that we can cut corners to build this sidewalk fund with.
Well, I get that, but how can we now lower their bill by $5? Why couldn't it always be $5 lower? I guess I don't understand that part.
Well, we're also looking at what departments or groups have money in where they're safe. If we have something pops up, they're safe, and that's one of them that has some money there. I don't think you were on council when they wanted to drop that rate.
No.
And I voted no, but they wanted to drop it. They did drop it, and like 2 months, 3 months later, we had something come up and we had reinstated. That really caused a lot of problems, a lot of heartache, a lot of phone calls, and so this has money. We're not raising anything. It's not going to cost the taxpayer any more money, and they're going to get free sidewalks. We kind of thought it was a blessing for the community.
Well, they're not free.
Well, and one reason why they might be able to do that, because of, I mean, how many millions of dollars of grants have we gotten for infrastructure improvements? A lot, right?
I know we've done pretty good.
So
We
that
were
may
able
be
to-
one of the
Been
reasons
very
why.
fortunate
Yeah, that may
the
be
last
one of
2
the
years.
reasons
But then there's
why.
always the fear that we could end up having to reinstate that $5. Or it'll be there, then we'll have to increase it, I guess.
It's not, we're not really taking it from anybody, we're just rearranging where it goes.
I get
The
that.
cost is still the same to the consumer.
I get that, but I mean, you gotta kind of see it, the other side of that too, is it seems like maybe, it looks like we've overcharged people by $5 all along.
Well, if we're taxing you or taking from you tax dollars to build a fund, when we get there, shouldn't we stop? Or should we just keep adding?
No, I see what you're saying. But our water sewer projects haven't really stopped yet either.
No, but we've been, as Charlie and Terrell both said, we've been very fortunate.
Yes.
We got some really sizable grants for that. We have talked about doing the sidewalks for everybody, let the village pay the bill. We won't run into the problems that we've had here recently.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and
Well, and that was, I
This was
guess,
the time.
yeah, that was one of my other questions for later on, is because we had so many issues with this last time around. We've got a resolution here on the table to assess their taxes, but if this is the direction we're going, maybe we shouldn't assess that to their taxes, maybe we should use this to pay that first round off.
I thought that too, but the reason I'm not saying anything about it is let the general, I mean, we have talked about it in committee, we've talked it 100 times. So now that you see where we're going, you see where they're being charged, their taxes they're getting put on, let the community talk, because it's gonna go the full 3 readings.
Well, this one's set up as an emergency.
No.
It's-
Oh, it
Okay,
is,
so am I
yeah.
reading the wrong one then? Which one,
The one tonight.
this sidewalk
Yeah.
repair bills?
I don't know who made it an emergency, because it's not.
It
It
happened.
has to be at the auditors by September 9th.
Okay, so it was an emergency, I wasn't reading it wrong.
All right, here it is.
Okay, see, and that's what I'm saying, is maybe that needs to
Why
be
does
discussed.
it, why can't it go 3 readings?
Because the next,
September 9th is like in 2 weeks.
Yes.
What is September 9th?
The auditor's deadline to have, put it on the tax rolls for next year.
but we could have 2 readings, because September 2nd, what is that, Labor Day?
That's Labor
It'd be
Day.
September 3rd that we have it scheduled for Tuesday. So we at least have a second reading.
Yeah, okay, let's do 2 readings.
I don't think you can, right? You have to have an emergency or 3? You can have just 2? Huh. So,
I guess this- I'm kind of confused by what you were saying on the sidewalk, charging to the tax. It's on the list tonight. That goes back 2 years ago, year ago. It wasn't from last year.
It was
Not
the
front
last
side.
sidewalk
Yeah.
repairs.
I thought it
This
said
would be from the one
22
where
to
we adjusted.
23.
No.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's from
Oh,
the
okay.
previous
These are all
Yeah.
ones.
Ken's
that.
right, it's 22
Yeah.
and 23.
These aren't the most recent ones that
Okay.
were
So I
adjusted,
don't
these are
think
past
you want
that
to
one.
waive.
Okay,
They
so
give
there is a
everybody
chance
those.
to, the ones that were recently adjusted and were adjusted wrong, and there were a lot of
Right. Those are not-
discrepancies,
These are not.
they could potentially be grandfathered into this.
Mhm.
You see,
Thanks, Doug.
we'd end up still losing money on that. We wouldn't gain a thing because we already paid the bill.
Correct.
It's up to you if you want to write it off. I mean, I'm not debating that, but I was thinking we were a year.
Well, no matter what
You're
happens, somebody's not gonna be happy. You know, if we start doing them for free, then Joe Blow's not gonna be happy because he paid for his 12 years ago. I paid for 4 or 5 of my own. I'm just trying to, if we do it as the community, we can get better looking products out of it. We can bid. I hate driving through town or around the side streets and you'll see, well, here's a 4x4 section was done here, skip 3, a 4x4 was done here, skip 1, 4x4. If it's that chopped up, take the whole thing out. Make it look like, don't make it look like what the hell they did it. And we can do that if we as the village is in charge. We can do quality work and make the thing look good. Hopefully within that money of sidewalks, we can do some curb work. We have no curbs in this town. There's just a lot of things we can do when that money is set only for sidewalk.
See, I wasn't 100% happy with reducing rates because we went through some of that years
Mhm.
back. That's why I said we should put a 1-year trial period on this. Because if during next year it looks like we're losing money and whatever,
To see where the funds are.
we can abandon that instead of making it for 3 or 4 years like you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, so if we only do this for 1 year and we get money, how do we decide where that money goes? Only one quadrant?
Maybe take that $270,000 you're gonna spend on the street sweeper, spend that.
Well, can we do that though?
Well,
Can we?
No.
Well, so if we, that's what I'm saying, like,
Well, see,
I know you're saying it's rearranging the money, but it's very specific money, so
Yeah.
like, I feel like this has to be at least a 4-year project, because they're gonna break it down into 4 quadrants, right? So at
I have
least
no idea.
each quadrant can be addressed
Yeah.
with whatever money is brought in during
Well,
that
you'll
year.
have to talk to
I don't know that it's ever been brought to us as to how many quadrants they're gonna be, but.
Or we thought we'd run it like we did the last
It was
time,
discussed
when
that
when the
way,
very
yeah.
first
I
started.
don't remember.
Because one of the things we said was, if you're gonna do quadrants, tell the people ahead of time, so they put it on a rotation, so they know 4 years in advance, hey, my quadrant's coming up, I better start putting some money
Well,
back.
something you gotta realize too, we're not gonna generate enough to do a quadrant per year.
First year, yeah.
You're still gonna have to kick in general fund money. And that's, how much of that you wanna kick in.
Mhm.
I'm not comfortable doing that either. That's why I didn't wanna see this go beyond a year. See where we stand at the end of the year, how much we've taken in, and how the water, sewer, trash funds look before we suddenly bite off doing every sidewalk in town.
Well, I think we need to put our sidewalk repair on hold then.
I think, aren't they not doing it again until next year?
I think it's in May, right? They're starting it back up in May.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But we would wanna talk about maybe delaying it another year if that's the case. If we're waiting to see how much money is there at the end of the year.
We had 50,000 set aside several years ago, and that probably got spent where?
You're looking at me for
Because you would spend it, not me.
If this one were to go into, when would this $5 reallotment?
First of the year.
So it wouldn't do until the first of the year?
Yeah, it'd have to go
Alright,
through
yeah.
ordinance,
I
right?
mean, you have time to talk to your committee chairs and the people on the committee and voice your opinion.
Well, let's see. And Eric would have all the numbers. I forgot to bring all mine. Oh, no, maybe I did. I was thinking that first year we were gonna generate maybe 80,000.
It says
Well,
88.
that's a drop in the bucket to do a quadrant.
Yeah.
At concrete at $166 a yard, yes, that's a drop.
So that's why you have to think about what other kind of seed money you want. With other things going on, I don't know how much you want to ding general
Well,
fund.
a program
for
like this would
sidewalks.
take a while to build up to itself.
Or tell them to wait until the fall to.
Maybe after a year, council won't want to be in the sidewalk business, and then we can revisit.
Spend $80,000 worth of money. And you're done.
Well, this is, the ordinance, there's no ordinance, you know, they're just looking at what they should do for next year's budget for the water sewer. So you
Yeah.
have time to look into it, talk about it, address it with the committee. If you feel like it needs changes, I mean, that's what that's all about, is what's your opinions to it.
Let's let that one lay till next meeting.
It's not even in
Well,
this.
yeah. Not even ordinance.
You didn't bring the ordinance anyway, so.
We're just bringing some
Do we need-
ideas to council,
Right, I
so.
mean, she can write up an ordinance on it and we can address it then. I mean, there's still be time to discuss it once it goes through its three readings.
It's, because it's part of the budget too, I mean, on this kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
which means it
they're-
needs to be in with budget time right here.
Right, right, so we have some time to look into it. Is there anything else with that or finance? They give you a lot of stuff to look over in there, so.
As far as the grant for the Quint,
Mhm.
I see, did you, in here, maybe I didn't read it, did you guys make a recommendation as to what we should pay him?
So I did call Mickey after that meeting, and what we had requested was, you know, we're authorizing him to do the grant, the 2,500. If we're awarded the grant at the maximum allowable amount, which is like $1 million, that we would pay him 5% commission. And he was totally fine with that. So,
Quint. I learned that.
So is he starting that? Do we have to approve that first though? That 2,500? No?
You have a contract with them, wouldn't you? Start with
Don't
the.
get it, not till I get one, and they'll get it.
And then that's what.
but he said that he'd meet with finance, which I'd like him to do for 20 minutes at our next meeting, just so we can get everything that comes out of his mouth on paper.
Yes, because it sounded like maybe there were some more details in terms of size and
Yep,
specs and,
yep.
yeah.
And then process of what we do with the other two trucks, you know, when we have to do something with. Neither can be used, I think, for runs or anything.
Right. Did you mention too that we could get financing on it?
Yes, but
I don't know if you had said that to Cheryl, or I know you had.
only on, like, we can't obviously finance the
Only
commission.
95%
Right.
of the,
Well, like the leftover, for example,
Yes.
if we pay him the 5% commission, which is 50,000, and then 5% of the 95% would be, we couldn't finance any of that, we couldn't
Correct.
finance the 2,500.
Correct.
So that's only the truck.
What's
And-
left after this?
Yeah, and we have to keep the truck in service for 25 years.
That number surprised me. Is that typical?
That's apparently the serviceable life of that piece of equipment, according to Mickey.
It's 25 years. Were you guys aware of that?
Quint, 25 years for the Quint? If we
I
get
didn't
the
know it was
Quint.
that long. I knew it was a lengthy service, but I didn't know it was 25.
Yeah.
Means we need to really take care of it, because it's gotta be in commission for 25 years if we get it.
Well,
Our ladder truck's 40 years old. Yeah, our other equipment's 25 years old.
the pumper that you want to get rid of is 30 years old, the other pumper's 20.
So they take care of it.
And they're good-looking trucks.
I know you never asked about all.
$300 to change oil on those things.
All right, any other questions? Moving along. Administrator's report, did not have one in the packet, I don't believe, and he is not here tonight, so. If you have questions for him, he will be back Thursday, Friday day. Solicitor's reports. Since Cheryl wrote them, I'm gonna make Cheryl read them. Sorry.
Right. Not like that.
You have to talk, Cheryl.
Ordinance 2024-15, an ordinance prohibiting the establishment and operation of recreational marijuana cultivators, processors, retail dispensaries within the village limits. First reading only. Ordinance 2024-16, an ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of various component codes of codified ordinances, providing for the adoption and publication of new matter in the updated and revised codified ordinances, repealing ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewith, and declaring an emergency.
And this is just to submit the ordinances to the publishing corporation so they can go online.
Yes, and that'll be through December 31st, 23.
I'll make the motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Hold on. Okay, Bailey?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yep.
An ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances, providing for the adoption and publication of new matter in the updated and revised codified ordinances, repealing ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewith, and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Beverly?
Yep.
Miller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Before we do the next one, if you notice the Exhibit A on all of those, we already have the adult use marijuana in there from the state. Already included. Ordinance 2024-17, an ordinance amending section 14702 codified ordinances of the Village of Hicksville to add an employee holiday, which was Martin Luther King Day. And we can read this over 3 readings. Ordinance 2024-18, an ordinance amending section 147.01 of the codified ordinances of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, allowing employees to be compensated for certain accumulated vacation credits, and declaring an emergency.
Make a motion to suspend the rules?
Okay. Caption doesn't say by emergency. Just observing.
It does.
I have a question about that. Is that, are you voting on that?
No.
To implement that?
Mhm.
Okay, so. Can I come up
Yep.
Okay.
So going through the policy manual of the village, I would make a suggestion that we do not approve the village manual tonight because I found several, researching the ORC which was established in 2021, section vacation leave and holiday pay under 325.19. So I sent Rachel emails this morning on several ORC codes to research, but she's going to be here tonight.
So my only question or concern is you had some officers that were gonna lose some time. I mean, can we somehow grandfather them in so they don't lose that? I don't,
Well, if you start with personnel manual, it's separate from this.
okay.
Well, this has to do with vacation leave and holiday pay, which will also answer some of the questions about they can accumulate up to 3 years. I mean,
I don't think
so,
we're stuck with Ohio Revised Code. We can make whatever we
we're not a chartered,
No,
we
we're
are
not
statutory,
Yeah.
which I think we have to follow the Ohio Revised Code.
You can be stricter. You can't be more liberal, so
So those are other questions I sent to her to review.
Why don't we let this lie until the chief gets answers?
She's on vacation, so you're not gonna hear from her for a
No,
while.
she just got back this early this morning, she was getting off the plane when she called me, so.
that's that whole vote we did last meeting for policy manual was a waste of time, which
We
I
do a
was
lot
trying
of
to
things
tell you
that
that.
waste of time.
Well, I suggested a long time ago that a committee should have been put together to go over the policy manual with department heads. And that was a long time ago, when we first got this. It was sent out to us. It should have been done. Because there's several things we had discussed in finance and personnel during budget years, of some things that we should have changed. And I made several different suggestions in that policy manual.
But the policy manual, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, is it's not finished yet, right? We're not to the point of,
Right, but I don't know
Right.
if you vote on this now, because like I said, under the Ohio Revised Code, it still says that you can roll over vacation hours. But there's also a section that an employee is entitled to 80 hours of vacation after 1 year.
right? This is something we wanna have Rachel address when she gets back and take a look at what is,
I
we
just,
can
I wanna
do.
let that lie, please.
Yeah.
So,
I just wanna make sure that no
I was
one's.
gonna say,
Yeah,
I
I
wanna
any
make sure that.
Yeah.
I want that
Can-
stated.
Yeah, can we make sure that that doesn't happen? That was the whole reason that we were
Yeah.
trying to get this moving, so nobody lost their time
Right.
that they've earned.
I'm gonna second it.
I'll second. I guess what I'm
We'll
saying.
let it lie.
To let it, perfect, I'll second that. Okay.
roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yep.
Miller? Resolution 2024-14, resolution of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, directing the Defiance County Auditor to assess and enter delinquent water and sewer bills on the tax duplicate for the properties described in Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
Move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yep.
Miller?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
A resolution of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, directing the Defiance County Auditor to assess and enter the delinquent water and sewer bills on the tax duplicate for the properties described on Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Beverly?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
A resolution of the village, resolution 2024-15, a resolution of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, directing the Defiance County Auditor to assess and enter the delinquent cost of weed and grass mowing on the tax duplicate for the properties described in Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Martin?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yep.
Cheryl, did you skip resolution 2024-13?
Probably.
Gave me all four mixed over here.
That was a legal cut. You
Yeah,
passed it.
I
to-
think you read the wrong number for it. But we did,
That's
we
legal.
did council.
We'll get to it.
All right. A resolution of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, directing the Defiance County Auditor to assess and enter the delinquent cost of weed and grass mowing on the tax duplicate of properties described in Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Roll call.
Beverly?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yep.
The next two are new, and we had to do it because we're having nuisance properties that are not paying, and also the second one is for sidewalks. All right, resolution 2024-16, resolution of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, directing the Defiance County Auditor to assess and enter the delinquent cost of nuisance property cleanup on the tax duplicate of properties described in Exhibit A, declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
You're suspending the rules.
Yes.
Bailey?
Yep.
Beverly?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
I thought we already had that.
No, that was grass.
Resolution 2024-16, a resolution of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, directing the Defiance County Auditor to assess and enter the delinquent cost of nuisance property cleanup on the tax duplicate of properties described in Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yep.
Egley?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Resolution 2024-17, a resolution of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, directing the Defiance County Auditor to assess and enter the delinquent cost of sidewalk repair or replacement on the tax duplicate of properties described in Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
Suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yep.
Resolution 2024-17, a resolution of the Village of Hicksville, Ohio, directing the Defiance County Auditor to assess and enter the delinquent costs of sidewalk repair or replacement on the tax duplicate of the properties described in Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Beverly?
Yep.
Miller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
These are all that we have in the water and weeds and all that, those are, we've come a long way.
We've been paying.
Wow.
Resolution 2024-18, a resolution to assess streetlight millage and declaring an emergency. This was written with no increase or decrease, it's just the same as last year. We just have to do it.
Vote to suspend the rules. Second?
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Beverly? Resolution 2024-18, a resolution to assess streetlight millage and declaring an emergency.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Miller?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Resolution 2024-19, A resolution authorizing the administrator of the Village of Hicksville to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or Local Transportation Improvement Program to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency.
Suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Resolution 2024-19. A resolution authorizing the administrator of the Village of Hicksville to prepare and submit an application to participate in Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or Local Transportation Improvement Program to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
The last one, thank you, Cheryl.
Oh, hold on. Resolution 2024-13. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
You need a break? Resolution 2024-13, a resolution to enter into an agreement with the Defiance County Commissioners for the recovery of monies expended for providing legal counsel to indigent persons for the calendar year 2025. Does that need to be an emergency?
No.
No. So first reading only. By caption only.
Could you read the full? The whole thing?
I don't know those words.
All right, thank you again, Cheryl. Department head, chief?
So the Marks Tower went live, I think I sent out an email to everybody, went live last Wednesday evening. We met Friday. So far it's working well. We're able to receive, it's very clear, we're able to get out. We're able to get out inside the police department. The officers tested this school over the weekend. They were able to get out inside the school. So far, so good. It's supposed to have a range of like 33 miles, which is one of the, sounds like it might be one of the highest ranges of the towers around. So, we find out the average is like 11 to 12 miles. That's probably why we couldn't reach Edgerton, we couldn't reach Defiance. So far, it's working well. So, the new car, Sergeant Doctor took his car down Friday, so they're swapping things out of that car into the new car. So hopefully we'll have that car probably next week, I'm hoping, and then we'll have to get it out, and it should be ready to go, so.
Car or Durango?
The Durango. So, that's all I got, plus what I already had.
I don't thank you for your patience on the mark system. I know a long time coming on that. I'm glad it's working extremely well. It's good news. 2 years, there's like 3. Yeah, so,
A lot of headaches.
yeah. So,
Yeah, just like when we got hurt,
yeah,
so that was my main concern.
yeah. Any questions for the chief? Thank you, chief. We got fire chief or EMS chief, who wants to go first?
I don't got no new business. What I got is short and sweet, old business. As I just listened, y'all kind of eavesdrop, I really hadn't heard anything from Mr. Smith, but obviously y'all talked to him as far as the quit goes. So I'm assuming I'll leave that in y'all's hands until he calls me with something differently. I have been in touch with Defiance City, because they got their new quit up there. Talked to their chief, and I talked to one of their other training firemen there. They said they really like it. I plan on making a trip up there, whether it's myself or me and a few of the firemen officers, to kind of look at it to kind of get a visual feel of what they got. They only have a 75 foot, we talked about before, 75 foot versus 107, that sort of thing. They said they went with a 75 foot because it fits whatever they need in their commercial structures as far as defined city, like Menards, Walmart, the big Lowe's, all those structures on the strip. They felt like that was the best for them. But of course, we in a rural area, so depending on what we need to do, that's all determination later as far as size of stick or ladder, as I would say. But they have a 75 foot, they're very satisfied with it. So outside that, the 11 guys we sent to the fire school, they've knocked down 4 days so far. Haven't heard anything negative. I called and checked on them, or called the people and called and checked that everybody is doing well. So as they go into their last weekend, which will be this Saturday, which is their last final class day, and then they test out on Sunday. So continue to wish them well. All 11 are still intact, no one walked away, no one gave up. So that's great all in itself. So as they move forward into their final weekend, continue to wish them the best of luck, and they're successful come test day. Then once they get their little card, we have 11 more firemen that can be active among the fire department. Other than that, I don't have anything to do. All right.
Once they become active though, I mean, do they still have a probationary period? Are they can go active?
They could go active based on, like, you know, just been on the fire ground, and now they're certified to do more. As in right now, they're more in the observant stage. They can help assist with a lot of things on the fire ground. Now they can actually be active as far as being an active fireman and doing certain things up to their skill level.
But with that many, I mean, are they're outfitting and everything? Have we got that figured out?
Well, after I mentioned y'all before that I got in contact with a guy from uniforms or turnout gear, and that was going to wait till after everyone got out of class. So I'm scheduling a date for them to come and now get these guys outfitted for what they need so they can continue on providing for the village and ride and serve it.
I had a question about the grant writer though. Do you guys have to come up with which truck you would prefer? So when they start working with, I mean, there was a
Yes,
range.
but we have to, he said by mid-October.
Okay.
So I know
Yeah.
that Mickey wanted to meet with us discussing the possibility of the needs of what we'll need, because the fire truck that we get is gonna be in service for 25 years. You know, if we have structures that go in on Industrial Drive that are like a spec building, for example, we don't know how tall those are gonna be unless they're the same as the heights of Defiance. You know, like the deck building, I don't know how high those
There's
are.
some big buildings in Defiance.
But
See, that's
one
why-
thing he brought up was a 75-foot ladder doesn't mean you can go straight up. You have a.
Well, you can go straight up. I wouldn't advise unless
Right.
you're locked out. Cause that's pretty scary on itself, especially if you really act like you're not scared of heights. But most if you're going up, you're more like on a little incline going up, but you still have your safety harnesses, and you still have to be locked out once you get to a certain height. That's just safety in itself.
So what he was saying was like a 75-foot truck really is like a 50-foot structure. Because you have to have 25 feet from the structure, right? You can't just go right up against the burning
Right,
building with
yeah,
your truck.
you gotta
It's not
have
fuel.
room for the structure.
So that's why we'll have to revisit that portion of it.
And that's the reason why I mentioned as far as the Defiant City, they take their point out on the commercial structures. Now, Lowe's and Menards is not necessarily height-wise real tall. Any ladder will probably cover that. We even got a ground ladders that probably get up to the top of their buildings. But with that being said, as far as the city goes, how tall are their buildings versus here in town, how tall our buildings are, and as far as our rural area, how far from the road are we for some of these homes, if we need to extend to a home to get someone out of a window or a roof or that sort of thing, or even for us to get on a roof and work off of the roof, like to ventilate the structure or ventilate the roof, that sort of thing. So we have to take all that into account as far as what the village, or even the rural area encompasses as far as heights. I don't know, we got a lot of houses that are that big, but it's more off the road and what we would need to get to those people. But the fire said that they're happy with their 75 foot, so unless they run into an issue where they can't reach someone due to their ladder, then I'm sure they address that when that time comes. But they say that they sat on their decision to get 75 foot for a couple of years. So when they got everything together, they decided that was the best fit for the city. So.
Very good. Any questions for Derek? Very good. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're Bruce.
He's right there.
All right.
Lots of folks.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize. I had sent you guys an email and found out this morning that nobody ever got the email because apparently I didn't send it. I have no idea. Love technology. Just a few things. September 17th, our medical director will be here doing some training with us and going over some charts, things like that. September 19th, the training that we normally do every once a quarter, they'll be here. The EMT basics will be getting trained on how to draw up and administer epi and anaphylaxis shock. Our new repeater was installed last week, so that is now up and running. Instead of about 33 watts, we are now about 75. So, yeah, they blasting around the county. Our new squad is being wrapped next Monday. I sent them an email. They did get that one. And they apologize for the delay, but we need to have it over Fort Wayne. They're going to have it for a day, maybe 2 days, and then it'll be back. One thing before it goes into full service, the day it gets back, I'm going to ask our chaplain to do a blessing on it. So if anybody wants to come for it, great. If not, no big deal.
On the new squad, do you have all the other equipment in it?
Everything's in.
Just needs to be wrapped.
It
And
just
it's
needs to be
ready
wrapped, and it's in service. So we will, as soon as we get it wrapped, I just have to, I've just let the pharmacy board know that we've got the new one, and we're good to go. I have 7 firefighters that are wanting to take an EMS class. I'm going to state their name and just raise your hand. Gabe Smith, Brandon Hamilton, Felix is not here tonight, Micah, Chase Railing, Isaac Wilhelm, and Timmy. These 7 firefighters have agreed to take an EMS class that starts September 9th over at Hicksville. To put these 7 firefighters on would mean that we would have 15 EMTs. And that is a huge increase. That's probably the most that we've had in 20 plus years. The cost per person is $1,850, and that does include the books. It's $1,500 without the book, $350 for the book. Gotta have the book. The class is going to run from September 9th to approximately March, and after that they'll sit for their national registry, and after that they will have a 1-year contract with us. I explained that to them last Friday. Each and every one of them are on board with it. They understand what they need to do. They are willing to work. I will say this. Each person that I announced has more than proven themselves, because these are the guys that show up to just about anything that the fire site has. we had a run earlier today. These guys showed up. So there's no doubt in my mind that they're gonna be good EMTs. These guys will show up. The grand total for the cost is $12,950. And part of the email that I was going to send was, cost, obviously. But I do need to know because they're wanting to order the books, and they're wanting to order the books, and they know that how many people we have potentially coming. So.
Have you talked to Cheryl?
I have. She was kind of hoping that we could wait until after September, but unfortunately it starts September 9th.
So September 9th, the money has to be there. Does it?
Be there before.
So you want us to vote that we agree with what you're doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I move we get behind him and do it.
Yeah, I feel like this will finally give us the numbers where if we're gonna have 2 ambulances, let's have the staff to run them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, these guys, last Friday, we had a sit down, and I explained to them, what we require. I'm not worried about specific amounts of time, because I know these guys will fight to get on that squad.
I made the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And that's it.
Are you still gonna send that email though?
I hope not.
No, Charlie.
Bruce, are you having any
Send them right
luck
back.
keeping things covered on the weekends?
So, yes and no. So we've started something with Drew. Drew is now running a 24-hour shift on the weekends. Something that we have started. We're trying to do it as a trial. We did have somebody from Williams County that was going to come over, another paramedic. However, due to people talking, that guy is no longer coming. So we've got a couple other people, basics that are wanting to come over and work with us. So.
What do you mean by people talking?
When I mentioned that this gentleman was thinking about coming over, as part-time, somehow I got back to his current employer that he was coming here full-time. I'm like, where did that come from? So, yeah.
Bruce has been trying to fill those gaps, but it's hard to find people, it is. That's why-
I've got 2 people from Fort Wayne that are, one is still fighting with the state of Ohio on the reciprocity, and the other one has just started the reciprocity paperwork. So as soon as I get the reciprocity paperwork, I'll be over and saying, hey, I need to put these guys on. But we're doing everything that we can. I'm not gonna BS. We had a call last week where Derek was the only one to show up, but I'm going to respectfully request a PFE meeting to discuss personnel.
Does it need to be PFE or personnel?
PFE first.
Okay. That's fine. I'll get with you.
Yes.
Figure out.
I talked with the mayor. I think this is the best course of action.
I have a question about the 12-hour shift.
Sure.
Will we be in-house? How is that working? Because I know we've talked what long-term 12 hours looks like and building some sort of like an apartment type. That's really a deluxe word. It really wouldn't be an apartment, it'd be a bed basically.
Right.
Not a nice man.
Yeah, a bed and a
So-
nightstand for sure, a lamp.
So, a lot of the materials we could get donated, and a lot of the labor I think we could do, okay? I think the most that we would need would just be, something, bed-wise. A mattress, just put a mattress up there. I've been talking with a couple other people, and they're like $1,000, and we're good up here,
Does that need to be completed before Drew starts his 24 hours?
He's already started.
It's already started.
It's already started, okay.
So right now, because he's the only one there, there's not we've got the couch, we've got the chair, that he can, that he can relax on. So it's not that it's a pressing need at this moment. But I do think that, with what I've got in mind, that we're gonna have to do something upstairs, so.
Thinking outside the box, that's what he kind of wants to get with PFE about.
Yes.
I got a question. You mentioned like sometimes having a hard time getting the people, and is part of the problem like the employers not allowing people to go to do the calls?
So right now, to explain the situation, so right now you have 4 full-timers and
Yep.
4 part-timers.
Okay.
Okay, the 4 part-timers have full-time jobs
Yep.
other places. So it's up to the 4 full-timers to try and pick up those overtime runs, okay? When the part-timers cannot, all right? Everything goes to the part-timers first, and then it's gotta go to the full-time, then it'll go to the full-timers. Right now, you have 2 people that are like, look, this is our 40-hour full-time job.
Yep.
It's hard for us to want to come, for something else, and I get it, okay? It's just like working overtime at your job.
Yep.
So then you have 2 others, myself and another person. I'm not available all the time, and neither is this other person. So sometimes, like last week, and I'll just be honest, last week I was out because of a back injury. All right, I could hardly walk. That's why I was not, I did not respond. Okay. The problem is that when you have the perfect storm of all your part-timers working, okay, so like Derek here, he's one of our part-timers.
Yep.
Drew is a part-timer. We have 2 other part-timers.
Yep.
They pick up when they can.
Yep.
It's not all the time. He's getting ready to go to work.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, there's just so many, there's just so limited resource, and with the hospital closing and us having 2 and 3 hour runs now, it's hard to have somebody come in and say, yeah, I'll pick up that run. If it was a 20-minute run down to CMH, I don't think we'd have a problem.
Yeah.
But now that we're at 2 and 3 hour runs.
Well, and the reason I bring up, so I run the plant up, I'm running a plant up in Montpelier, so we have a lot of volunteers set up. And so as an employer, one of the things that we allow is that, and we have a couple guys that are working on our shop that are on the volunteer, fire squad, EMS and all that stuff, where as an employer, we see that as a benefit having them. So we allow them to go, then they just have the chief give them a document saying, hey, they ran the run, here's when they left, here's when they came back. And as an employer, we actually pay that person still for their time that they missed as an employer. So I didn't know if we have maybe with some of these employers of the part-time guys have maybe a
So most of the
facilities.
so all of our part-timer, well, one part-timer, Drew, he works out at Sabre. Okay,
Yep.
he has typically no problem. Most of our part-timers, like Derek, he works over in Indiana.
Okay.
Okay.
Not so
But
bad.
I will just say this: some of the employers here in town
Yes.
are very good about letting the firefighters go.
Okay.
And they do that if they have the opportunity.
Yeah. So, again, thank you. This will bring our numbers up to a number that we haven't seen quite a long time.
Look forward to it.
Thank you, Bruce.
There's one more thing I forgot.
Oh, we passed you.
Man.
You had your turn.
Too late.
Sorry.
You've been up there twice, that's enough.
So I am down one full-time officer. He went to part-time, so I'm gonna be putting something out to hire another full-time officer.
I'll do it.
So, okay. So, that's all I got.
Good.
Can Ron and I just drive around in the car?
Ron rides in the backseat though.
Okay, I don't care. We have a dog too.
Sure. Where are we up to? Fiscal officers, right? Yeah, Gary Bell not here, right? I don't see it. You're up, Cheryl.
The fund status report and the cash summary by funds, do you have any questions about those? I have one liquor license request, and it's by the company that bought the sailor. So if there's no objection, I'll send that one in tomorrow.
Because they changed name? Or
Okay.
new applicant?
It's nothing new, it's just.
No, just changed name.
Okay.
And the last thing is table. Leave that. That's all I have.
Do we need to vote on that?
No.
It's only if we have objection.
No objection.
Okay.
Any questions for Cheryl? Okay. I just got a couple quick announcements. You got that, the Insight, site development, that was an independent company that came in and did a site. They actually looked at industrial park, more on the Guilford property to see what kind of infrastructure there is in there. They look at our community, our schools, the whole impact of bringing industry into the community. They kind of ranked us. The report is in here in your packets. They love the town. They said the town was very nice. The site's not bad, but it does need some infrastructure, of course. But the goal was to entice a company to move in where you can get grant money from the state to help with infrastructure improvements, because it's not cheap. So I know Erica with Defiance Economic Development, she's working with Guilford's, she's working with other entities, the Keller Building, things like that, to keep enhancing our industrial park. So they are looking into helping grow the community that way. Verizon Tower update real quick. It's in my, had a Zoom meeting with Mark Warnicki, Brian Keller, Michael Wall, myself. Brian said that he would be willing to pay half of the improvements out there to move the fiber and the road. Asked him if he would be able to help with that. He said he would. We're going to get with Rachel to do a final look through of the document and get that back to Verizon, sign off on it, and move forward. So he did say he probably was not going to be building next year unless a company came to him and said, build this building, I want this size, this scope. He would build it in a heartbeat. But right now he has nothing set for doing that for 2025. Back to school breakfast is this Thursday. School starting here this following week after the fair. We ask you to watch out for students walking, riding their bikes, bus stops, things of that nature. The chamber's hosting the back to school breakfast, of course, with the staff and the school officials. And we thank everybody for what they do to help our students and kids become better educators and better students in the community. So thank you for that. Next council meeting will be Tuesday, September 3rd. It's not having it on Monday due to Labor Day. So mark your calendars, not Monday, but the 2nd, but Tuesday, September 3rd. And the fair's going on this week. If you have time to visit the fair, it's an exciting time for our community to host that for the county. But thanks for the fair and all their officials and the people that help with the 4-H and everything on that. And that's all I have. Anything else from me? Any questions for me? No? Good?
Move to adjourn.
Roll call. I don't know. You first and second.
Bailey?
Emphatically, yes.
Beverly?
Yeah.
Miller?
Yeah.
Martin?
No.
Egley?
Yes.
Sure.